Alright, welcome back everyone. This is Shadow Drake, and yeah, I got busy. I did a lot of stuff, had to do quite a bit of math, and I'm gonna go over that with you, so hopefully you're ready for this. This is gonna be pretty heavy, and hopefully this is gonna be information to help you make your own script, and I'll show you what I ended up doing with mine, but I definitely had help. Didn't do this on my own. Uh, so let's go over some of the basics. One of the things about this build is I have 6 large dishes, and it is very power intensive. I have 3 on the original line and these 3 on another line, and it's gonna be necessary. I will tell you that. But before I jump into it, let's review a few things. So back to the GPS, we need to know what directions there are. And recall that I said at the 180 direction, that's the positive Z. The 270 is the positive X, and of course up and down is the positive Y. This is going to be absolutely crucial because you're going to need to orient your dish correctly, and it'll help to understand that in the case for this medium dish, you can see that as I go to 360 or 0, that's the positive X, which means that 270 is the positive Z. And one other thing is that 0 degrees is the positive Y. And so ultimately, I'm basically doing a triangulation with 5 of those large dishes, and one of them is going to be solely for tracking down a large tier trader. So with that, let's get to our data. So, without a doubt, this is going to be a very late game build because I'm expending 600 astroloid for building large dishes. Yeah, ludicrous. It's insane. So let's look at the logic, because I didn't cover it a lot, but it's going to be something that we're going to need. So for a dish, the horizontal and the vertical are the pretty simple ones where you just read and write and tell the dish where to go, horizontal and vertical. The horizontal affects the X and the Z, and the vertical affects the Y coordinates. The setting is how much power the dish is pushing out, and it's going to also be helpful. The watts reaching the contact is the other thing that will be helpful, because I mentioned before, it doesn't really seem to be as heavily affected by noise, unlike your signal strength. Your signal strength really does suffer from noise. The next thing is going to be your signal ID, and this is going to tell you what trader you are looking at. Honorable mention is the contact type ID, and this is the hash ID of the traders in the 10 traders video. So if you want to skip or ignore a specific type of trader, then you're gonna need to do something with that. The best contact filter is new, and it's something that's absolutely helpful, and that's why this is possible. When you put a trader signal ID into the best contact filter, the dishes will now give you information on that trader specifically. Before, they only gave you information on the trader that the dish was the closest to, which by the time you get to that point, there's really no need to do something as crazy as this, because it's not going to give you any worthwhile information. And then size X and size Z can also be used to determine the path. So let's take a look at what my medium dish is saying. So right now, my medium dish is pointed to the 9x9 trader. Here's his signal ID, 11 to 18. The signal strength is how good. See, I got a almost perfect scan time. Let's see, watts reaching the trader, 7500. Thank you, Heat Haze. Contact ID is negative 8296, and if I look back on my notes, negative 8296 is the food trader. Hooray, it's the food trader. And the best contact filter is -1. So this dish is giving me a signal ID of whichever trader it is the closest to. And to go back to it, that the medium dish is weird, you can see that my medium dish is at 356, and my large dish is actually scanning him better at 301 was what it is, but my logic is changing it, and 61 vertical. And we can confirm that with this. My tester dish says 3 degrees off, but It's should match the medium. Medium is perfect. So there's still that wonkiness where the medium dish is not a perfect mirror. Thank you, waste tank. I am crapping myself. Alright. So now that we covered that, so what does this mean? So for my dish, that 11 to 18, it's something that I'm going to push into all of my dishes. As you can see, the best contact, 11 to 18. And that allows them to give me information on just the 9x9 trader, which is exactly what I am after. Okay, so let me explain the math a little bit. So when a trader signal is generated, you are given, well, behind the game's engines there are three coordinates, x, y, z. And this correlate to a spherical coordinate that uses basically the horizontal angle and vertical angle. And so this XYZ lands in a specific world space, and as your dish gets closer aligned to this unit vector, most of your power reaches and you're able to contact them. And this is kind of where a lot of the math is involved. I've done a lot of reverse engineering on this to kind of figure out how it works so that I can make this system work. But I must say that the biggest headache was getting the exact angle because the noise value is kind of what throws everything off. And I must give credit to Discord user Risu, who had a function for getting that angle, and it has been extremely accurate, and I will show that off soon. But to kind of go back to this, according to the devs, they take a dot product of the trader's vector angle and your dish vector angle, and that calculates how far the angular difference is between the two, and then they have another function that further correlates to how much power actually reaches it. It's not a very nice number, and that's actually where I had the headache. That was the biggest hangup. I couldn't find a good way to correlate the power factor to the angle or the signal strength to the angle. It was rough, but let me see. X and Z are the horizontal plane. Y is the vertical. So if I were to put this kind of like in a terrible looking graph, that's Z, this is negative X, this is positive X, and this is negative Z. And this is kind of why I said it's important for you to understand what your angles are. Because the only way to know what those three are for a trader is actually to essentially cheat. So, but just for the purposes of this, you could also do, I think it's trader contacts and asteroid eats the far 0.43, 0.48, 0.76, and the other traders, ironically enough, also landed in the same quadrant, which I didn't expect, but oh, why am I looking straight up? So basically, in the grand scheme of things, all of those traders are in the positive Z, positive X, so that quadrant, and somewhere over there. So I guess let's just say that's a trader right there, and the dish is pointed towards that area. And as we look at the medium dish, yep, it's fairly close to them. So that kind of lines up. But again, that angle is a problem. Now, one thing is that all of this is working in unit vectors. And the interesting thing is the dot product of a unit vector, the overall, the magnitude of a unit vector is 1. And so we can take advantage of that to kind of work backwards to figuring it out. And so that's why I have the 5 dishes. A dish pointed at 0 vertical means it is pointed completely in the y direction. So with no z or x components, the only difference I should see is the vertical difference. And now this is kind of where things get tricky. A dish pointed in the 0 horizontal and 90 vertical means that I eliminated the y components, but depending on where 0 horizontal is, that could be any of these four. In the case that my dish is aligned, 0 would be the positive x direction. So a 0 horizontal, 90 vertical gives me the positive x. So by that point, 180 horizontal, 90 vertical will give me the negative x. Now, to my dish, to 270 is the positive z direction, so we'll go with that. So 270 horizontal, 90 vertical gives me the positive z. 90 horizontal, 90 vertical gives me the negative z. Now, why is this information important? In a sense, it helps me pin down roughly where I should be pointed to. But in particular, the biggest benefit is knowing, oh, not that one, knowing what my y vertical is. Because if I can eliminate one of those angles, now I am just essentially trying to pinpoint where the trader is. I eliminate the error due to the vertical. But then this comes the problem. So I got 5 dishes, and as you remember, there is noise. So from the positive x, I am supposedly 78 degrees off. From the y, the vertical, I am 71 degrees off. So my vertical should be 71, but we know that's not true because of the noise. From the positive z, I'm 47 degrees off. So it's, basically I'm right there. And the negative z, I'm too far away. I can't get a scan. And the negative x, I'm 132. So from there, 132 is probably the closest would be 90 plus 32, which makes sense. That would be the closest. But all of these values are very rough. I could use this information right now, and actually I can use that to point my medium dish to try to find the better angle. And this is kind of where the more exact math comes in that I am going to go over. So in the Discord user Risu shared with me and the rest of the community to check math on the angle. Whether I can use this or not, I'm not sure. If I can't, I apologize. I can remove this part. But all it is to say is that this looks at how much power reaches the trader versus the power sent and comes up with a very good approximation. In a sense, it eliminates the error. So let's look at the y, because the y is the most important one of them, in my opinion. So we need the power reaching the contact. 1787, 396. So let's go and write that. 1787, 396. 1787.396. I'm sending 50,000 kilowatts. I will say though that I think that when the trader is not actively scanning, it is not using 5 kilo. In idle mode, it uses a tenth of that power. So when it's looking for a trader, I think it'll be using 5 kilowatts. When it's not, it won't really do anything. I think when you scan the trader, it's gonna go away, but I need to do more tests on that. Alright, so let's get my F angle. So 1787.396 divided by 50,000 is a very, very low 0.035747. Yep, that's very low. And from here on, we'll use kind of like a step function. I can't remember if that's the right name, but in algebra, that's one of those where instead of having a very nice curve, you have kind of like a function that's broken up based on different things you plug in. So let's just follow it down the line. If our power factor was 1, then we're definitely less than 2 degrees off. Honestly, why are we doing this? No reason to. If it's between 0.9 and 1, we use this function to find the angle. Between 0.1 and 0.9, we use this function. Between 0.05 and 0.1, we use this function. And it seems like this power factor lands in this tier, which is already getting pretty small. Not gonna lie, that's getting really low. So let's do our math. First, we'll subtract by 0.05. 0.05. So that just gives you negative 0.01425. And if we multiply by negative 1125. So that's 16.0336. Then we add 45 to it. So that means that how far off I am is 61.03. Whoa, hold on a sec. 61.03? That is so much more accurate than this Y, 71. And as I have mentioned with my medium dish, I hate the fact that it's like that. I set my large dish to the vertical, 61.03, and that's what these numbers are for. So in a sense, I eliminated the Y. I got one of them already. Now this horizontal is a little bit more trickier to find out. And I was trying to see if it was worth it to keep it at 90 or going ahead and put them all at 61. Because to be honest, these things are slow. Having them all at 90 means that I eliminate the Y component. But then again, if I put it all at 61, then technically I eliminate the Y noise. So let's go ahead with this math. So with that, now what's happening is I use that math, come on now, to see which one of those dishes give me a better approximate angle. And because I move one of the dishes, this isn't going to give me a horizontal angle until at least 3 of those work. And I'll be honest, I think, yep, there we go. So based on this, I am roughly 64.7 degrees off from the positive X. So from there, they're about 64. Now the problem with this is, from the Z positive, I'm 40 degrees off. I wanted this to be an exact 90, because ideally, this plus this should be the exact position. And so it's not. So I had to end up doing some averaging. Averaged out to 302.6. Truthfully, the horizontal ended up being 300 according to the medium dish. So if I move the large dish to 300, which is this, I'll run back to the computer while that is going. I bet I can make it before it. Perfect. That's the 9x9. And let's just be honest, that is the toughest one to get. Alright. So, with that in the math, I have a stupid power hungry dish set up. Emphasis on stupid power hungry. But hopefully this can kind of help, and just to kind of, I did a lot of this outside the scene, so let me do a trader regenerate and see if I can use this to find the trader again. I do have an IC housing. Yep, grabbing the signal ID and dumping it into the contact filter. So, let's do a good old trader regenerate. Now I'm going to have a different large tier trader. So, ooh, Good news is the tester's already pretty close by. I don't know that that's a good thing. So my positive x says 54, my positive y says 50. Positive c says 120. Negative c says 50. Okay, so that means he's got to be right around there. Just using my approximations here. So let's start with a 50. That'll be about right. You know what? Let's keep it at 56. According to my information, a positive x positive c is 120, so that it's got to be over there. So let's see. From 54. Oh, I wasn't looking at the right one. I need to look at the 9x9. Whoopsie. Okay. 64. Ooh, that's worse. Let's get you a 60. Now let's see. My positive x does not see that 9x9. That kind of helps. Positive c does. Negative c does. X, negative x does. Alright, so one thing that we know is that roughly 27 degrees from somewhere over here is the traitor. And it would have been great if I could get a z. From the looks of this, positive z is doing better, so I'm going to guess that it's gonna be in this quadrant. Somewhere over here. So let's see. My negative x was 27, so let's see. 180 plus 27, that's about 200. We'll go this way. So 13229 signal ID, let's see what that is. That's the 7x7. Because keep in mind, the medium dish is truthfully only looking for this signal. And I already have logic in there to make this not move unless the contact ID is the 9x9. So let's see, 13240. Oh, there we go. 13240 is my 9x9. There we go. Now we can start doing math. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I turned this chip off. That's why I'm not getting any data. Duh. That's actually kind of funny. So you're saying 299? That's not quite right. I got some errors with this. Alright guys, I fixed my mistakes. It's always the comparison mistakes. I don't know how I always seem to get a lot of them backwards, but basically I did something backwards and I added 360 when I shouldn't have, but yeah, whatever. Okay. And so now my dish is going down there. So supposedly 197 should be the target. So let's see if I can get my medium dish pointed in the right direction. So 7 degrees, that's already a good sign. While I'm waiting on the large dish to get there, it's gonna take a while. So let's see if I can get this maxed out. Usually it's gonna be more than likely the vertical that's gonna kill me. 6303. Yeah, that's worse. Should be 6303. Ooh. See, this is the good thing about the vertical. It's pretty spot on. 5964, so the vertical is probably what's wrong, so 6304. Worse. Better. 6862. 783. Oh, almost there. 7,500. Perfect. That's 2 degrees. What is the true angle according to this, though? There we go. So 190 is the true angle, which, as we see here, it looks like the Z position would have been the one that would have gotten it for me. So that kind of gets me wondering if maybe I do have a slight, because of the 90-degree offset, I wonder where that is. So let's just, yeah. So this is probably something that I am going to, yeah. Scanning down a trader is the hard part, but let me just make one thing clear. Let's just go to the vertical Y. It's maxed out. It can fully interrogate a 3x3 and can still interrogate a 7x7. So your positive Y, probably all your other ones too, can also just very easily interrogate the literal other traders. You can pick the one that's the easier or whatever. Look, even the negative Z that is so far off from the 7x7 can still interrogate. It really does not matter. So all this is for is to properly scan down a 9x9 so that you never miss a 9x9 again. 8 degrees off. And as we saw here, that's because it really should have been about 8. So if I move this 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about to 190. This is according to this. That should be approximately right. And that's not going to say anything because this is going to be... Let's see how that goes. 50,000, almost perfect. Perfect. See? Very close. But even if I left it at that 198, oh, I really should have checked how much it would have taken power-wise. Look. Positive Y. Insta-contact. Insta-contact. Okay, maybe not as insta-contact, but pretty darn close. So 197. 104 seconds. That's quite a significant amount of power. So there is one last test that I want to do, and that is to see how well this does when I set all my large dishes to that vertical angle. Well, except for the one. So let me go do that, and let's wait for the results. So be right back. Alright guys, they move, they calculated, and that is actually much better. 4 degrees off. So it looks like if I set all my dishes to the vertical angle that my Y calculates, they get much closer to the true angle. I don't know that I technically will call that worth it though. But, well, 3 degrees off and seeing it on the dish. Oh, come on. Go away. Maybe creative mode, but I really don't like warnings. Alright. Well, there you go. I hope this has been somewhat enlightening. And I'm going to keep trying to debug my script because, let's just be honest, I make a lot of errors everywhere. And once again, thank you to Risu for this equation. It is really accurate. I suppose if I want to try to make something more accurate, I don't know. This is extremely hard to beat. Even with some of the noise inherent to the dish signals, this is still very, in my opinion, really good. Because, I mean, after all, with this, I can contact nebula necessities. What kind of trader is Nebula Necessities? It's like the convenience store trader a bit. Let me look at my notes. There, 16503. Yeah, it's literally the convenience store. Ah. All right, guys. So to sum up, if you want to make your own logic script, feel free. Hopefully this information has been helpful. But truthfully, I would almost say that you would want to go for a logic script for scanning down a trader if you're really going to be very finicky about making sure you get all the 9x9s, because after all, out of the 20 to 30 minutes, I think it was 20 minutes this trader had, I got him scanned down fairly quick. Come on. Yeah, within half that time, just by knowing that information. So yeah, but again, 5 dishes plus the scanning one was very power hungry. Just, you know, yeah. Alright. Is that a threshold? Oh, that's right, I removed that. Whatever. Alright, this is Shadow Drake. This should this should conclude the trading. Thank you for your time, and I hope to see you back in maybe Trade Ropa. Have a good time. Bye.